and welcome to Check Out This Guy. We're checking out another one of your guys. We have a guest on today. First, I'll introduce myself. I'm Morg. I use they, he pronouns, and I'm excited to find out whoever this is. Spike?
Well, you said you were excited to find out whoever this is, so I thought that was their cue. Hi.
No, so we're saving me for last for to build up suspense.
Okay. Shh.
Sorry. Yes. Go ahead, Spike.
Yeah. Well, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Hi, I'm Spike. Use whatever pronouns you feel are respectful. And we have our guest, who has totally not spoken yet.
I mean, yeah, but I didn't say my name.
So true.
But yeah, I'm Patrick. I use he, him pronouns. Friend of the show, you could say, hopefully. And I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we've brought you up a few times.
All guests should be either friend or enemy of the show.
Enemy? Oh no.
Enemy of the show.
Yeah, so Patrick came in with a few different ideas. What are you going to tell us about?
I'm going to tell you about a guy. Is that okay to do on this podcast? Can we like check out a guy?
Yeah, I think that's...
Yes.
I think that's good. I think that's kind of what we're asking you for, so...
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So let me introduce you to a man by the name of Dr. Algernon Hue.
Who dat?
He is... So I guess my first question, while I get my thoughts in order, is... Are either of you familiar with the hit video game or hit tabletop game Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes, I am familiar with Dungeons and Dragons.
Unfortunately so.
Okay.
But I also know
this has nothing to do with that.
I was like, he's not from that. That's like one of the few things I know about him.
Yeah, it's like, I know what he looks like.
No, that's a different game. No, are you familiar with the game Blades in the Dark?
Yes, I have a copy of it downstairs.
I have never played it, but I know it's a thing that exists.
Yeah.
I have also never fully played a full game.
I got to play in a game probably starting in like a year and a half back. I could actually probably even check if I really wanted to. Actually, yeah, so it started January 2022. And probably went on for, I'm going to say, about a yearish long. Yeah, it looks like it ended in actually about November 2022. I keep very good notes on a lot of things.
God, I wish that were me.
Mm-hmm.
But so I guess for those unfamiliar, Blades in the Dark is a tabletop role-playing system, which is specifically built around the setting of Duskfall, and the game is, by its own account, a game about a group of daring scoundrels building a criminal enterprise on the haunted streets of an industrial fantasy city.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of, if you hear the term like Forged in the Dark, those are games that are based on Blades in the Dark, because it's kind of got like a pretty, like, for being like technically a lighter rules in some ways game, it has like a pretty robust rule system.
Yeah, I think that the rules it has work really well without being overly complex.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's got some stuff that you might see in like a Powered by the Apocalypse, but I feel like it has a lot of really cool like emotion stuff and like Vice-based stuff that I like. So I would like to run a game at some point.
I would recommend it.
Or at least a version of the game or whatever. A Forged in the Dark or whatever. But yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a good fantasy game, and Duskfall, the city it takes place in, is kind of a 1870s Second Industrial Revolution type setting, but also there's ghosts.
Spooky.
There was a big cataclysm that broke the sun. There broke the gates of death 1,000 years ago, which, don't want to break those.
Oh shit.
Yeah, those are important.
They're pretty important. The one-page summary, or the one-sentence summary the book gives is, you're in a haunted Victorian-era city trapped inside a wall of lightning powered by demon blood. Which is...
As you do.
As you do. But that's just to
Now-
give you a kind of general idea of the setting, so you can understand just the type of person Dr. Hue is. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, can you play as like a demon or a ghost or anything?
I don't think so. Let me clarify. I think there's like in the additional rule section some stuff about that, but it's like it's in the back of the book that's like hey, only use these rules if you really know what you're doing.
Yeah, like the
Mhm.
baseline is like mostly just like you're just dudes
Yeah.
trying to survive.
Yeah. You use these rules if you're not a coward.
Sure, we can say that.
Oh, use these rules if you know what you're doing, I think
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
you're talking to someone who didn't let you guys play as Wildcard and Eidolon, so like it's okay. It's okay to put limits on your players, especially if you're new to DMing.
Agreed.
But yeah, tell us about Hue.
Yeah, so I guess the one other thing I want to say about Blades in the Dark first is just, like I mentioned, it's about kind of making a criminal enterprise. It has a lot of different like lists of the type of criminal enterprises you can make. You know, they have both like assassins for a cult, for like smugglers, for people who hawk things, all that sort of stuff. What sort of criminal enterprise do you think Dr. Algernon Hue is part of?
Well, he is like, what kind of doctor is he?
A real one.
I also feel like I know the answer to this because you have told me.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know the answer, Spike?
No, because I am very much someone with the memory of a goldfish, even though I have read your write-up of him.
It'd be like that sometimes, but doesn't he do something with or you tell us? It's your fucking bag.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna just pause a second, look at my watch, so the audience at home can guess. That's right. Dr. Algernon Hue works at the Right Price and Company law firm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real doctor, but not a real lawyer.
He's a real doctor, not a real lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I should note Price is spelled Pryce because the head lawyer at the firm is Alex Price. And I think that's a good bit. I enjoy bits of that nature. But yeah, so it's a civil law firm where we focused on the desperate upper class, kind of taking the cases that other people didn't want to. For people familiar with Duskfall, it was located in Silkshore, and the neat thing about that is it was directly above a brothel.
What is a desperate upper class, though?
Sorry, like upper class people in a desperate situation of not financially, but like
yes,
taking the cases no one else wants for whatever
yes.
reason.
Yes, okay. I just think of desperate. I think of like poorer people, but that okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're talking about desperate in a different way. But I think that's enough. That's enough background about Duskfall and the Right Price and Company, and now I can get to Dr. Algernon Hue proper. Dr. Hue's great. That's it. That's all I got to say about him. He's great.
Damn.
Okay.
The shortest episode. Okay.
Yeah, you got another guy then?
No, I can say more about him.
Tell us about him.
So, Dr. Hue, is there a good place for me to post photos or anywhere?
You could do it in guest, or you could do it in voice text stuff. People have done it in both places.
All right. I'll probably post some photos.
But also these will probably be either linked to from whatever your social media is, or like whatever. So the listeners will probably see it somewhere.
Yes, I do have Dr. Hue on toyhow.se. That's probably how that's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, definitely.
So I can definitely give you a link to that.
Yeah.
But I am going to post the good doctor. This first one is a commission I got of him, and the second one is one I drew.
Ooh.
But while I'm posting these, Dr. Hue is kind of a older, middle-aged man. He has steampunk goggles on. He's got kind of short, messy brown hair. He's got a brown beard-mustache combo. Van Dyke, I think it's called. I don't know why I know that, except I do know why I know that. But it's incredibly stupid reason to know that. He's got a nice white lab coat that is definitely has no stains on it. And always has a nice bandolier of chemicals on him, because you never know when you need chemicals.
Yeah, I definitely don't see any
Mhm.
stains. I don't see any stains in the first picture that you commissioned. What are these chemicals?
Oh, so I have a whole list of what those chemicals are.
Oh
Oh
boy.
my god.
Which is always a great thing, is when you have a list of chemicals.
Sounds dangerous.
I mean, everything is chemicals.
Everything is chemicals.
So true.
But yeah, so the playbook I was using for Dr. Hue was the Leech, which is used for doctors and alchemists and all of that sort of general type of thing. Which I mentioned just because it means one of the mechanical benefits I had as Dr. Hue was that I just had a bunch of chemicals I could use in-game whenever I wanted. That definitely didn't have bad side effects. So I'm just going to look at the list I have right here.
With a name like Leech.
Yeah. Okay, so we have binding oil, drift oil, drown powder, eye blind poison, grenades, skullfire poison, smoke bombs, standstill poison, trance powder, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely want to, like, blind my patients and use smoke bombs on them, and yeah.
I heard trans powder.
Trance powder.
Oh, okay.
Trance.
That's a little bit different. Sorry.
Powder that makes you transgender.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could use it for that.
That's just his HRT.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask what the difference was.
I think it's more of, I think that's less the hormonal aspect and more the emotional aspect is what you could do with trance powder.
Ah, I see. Sissification powder. I get it.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
It's okay. It's my podcast. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, you're allowed to say.
As I say that, whoever's editing this is going to take that out. It's fine. They have to listen to me say it. I am so sorry.
But yeah, so I don't know about other people, but when I start a character in a tabletop game, I usually have some vague ideas about what I want for the character, and those ideas usually change very quickly. So, for example, the reason his name is Dr. Algernon Hue is explicitly a reference to the Archer character of Algernon Krieger, who is also a definitely real doctor.
Oh yeah, Krieger. That's funny. Okay.
So early on, Dr. Hue did more of like making gadgets. One of the long-term projects he had was to make some sort of like voice recorder thing, which didn't exist because, again, the setting. But I'm not going to talk about that Dr. Hue as much because he changed not super significantly, but significantly enough as the campaign went on. And I think went in a more interesting direction.
Ooh.
So Dr. Hue is a medical doctor, asterisk. Just trust him. Look, Dr. Algernon Hue is a medical doctor. There is not any, like, diploma he has that written on it, or, like, if you check, like, any records for whichever schools he says he went to, they won't have any records of him. But that's just because of some accidents. Don't worry about it.
I mean, is this a universe where you have to have that even?
You should.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's like old. It's like, I feel like sometimes medicine changes so quickly in that time period that, like, people be doing crazy shit and they're like, yeah, I'm a doctor, wink.
Also, I just want to share real quick that because you did make the bit about being an actual doctor, I do now have the song Dr. Worm stuck in my head.
That was what I was referencing. Yes, correct. He was a real doctor, but not a real worm or a real lawyer.
Yeah.
He was not a real lawyer. But no, so his role at the Lit Law Agency was kind of their on-hand, on-tap medical expert. So, whenever any medical questions come up, they have a guy on ready to say, yeah, here's my expert medical opinion. Which is just a useful useful thing to have when you're doing a lot of cases that are usually A, very weird, and B, very dangerous. He also, over the course of however long he worked there, kind of picked up some general knowledge, so was helpful in investigations and sometimes served as like co-counsel. And of course, he was a real doctor. How many times do you think... Let me put it this way. Over the course of the campaign, it was kind of divided up into segments for each case. There were 13 cases we did. At what case do you think we got to where people started getting shot at? Again, these are just regular lawyers.
2.
1?
That's correct. It was 2. It was the second case.
Yes.
Where we had assassins after us for some reason.
Wild. That's weird. I feel like you're just regular lawyers, but you're getting shot at?
Now so I suppose I should know. When I say we're regular lawyers, that's half accurate. It's not like the law firm wasn't a front for anything. It wasn't a front for some nefarious purpose or drug trafficking or anything like that. It was an actual law firm. We just were willing to bend some of the laws sometimes. What's a little forgery between friends?
Did anyone have to take you to court?
I mean, we went to court all the time.
I didn't mean like that.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
So Dr. Hue was, like I said, had these roles at the law firm and evolved a lot as a character over the course of the campaign. Because, like I said, he was originally kind of just a standard, like, mad doctor type, and eventually became one of my favorite types of characters, which is bad person who is slowly trying to get better and repeatedly fails to do so.
God.
Who would like such a thing?
Who could say? Who could possibly say?
Who does that sound like? I don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
No other doctors I can think of that have that general quality.
I wasn't even talking about doctors, but so true.
No, neither was I.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about a specific doctor character, but
nope.
I guess that's someone who did eventually get better. But yeah, there are plenty of other characters who, in fiction like that I generally enjoy pretty much every time they come up.
I miss playing a character like that, I'm gonna be real.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess in order to truly explain that, we have to jump back into the past. And to do that, we have to stay in the present for just a moment. Which is the GM for this game, Violet, who I adore and was an absolutely fantastic GM throughout, would frequently refer to Dr. Hue as Dr. Huey. That wasn't his name. It was never his name in the campaign. It just kind of happened that way for whatever reason. And I said, you know what would be really funny? That's right. What if his name was Huey?
Like his first name?
Yeah.
I think you did tell me his old name, yes.
Yeah. So, I decided, you know what would be really funny? What if I gave this character serious trauma?
Oh, again, something none of us would know about.
None of us would know. But basically, to summarize, the reason that there's no documentation on Dr. Hue being a doctor is because there is no Dr. Hue. There's a Dr. Huey Smits who went to college, medical school on the Dagger Isles, another area around Duskwall, and did good. He's a doctor of medicine. He specifically worked primarily around pharmacology and different drugs. And he did good, and he did so good, he was invited to be a guest lecturer at a class in Duskwall. He had been living on the Dagger Isles. So Huey returns to Duskwall from the Dagger Isles to do this, to see family, do this whole guest lecture thing. And things go poorly.
How poorly?
On a scale of 1 to 10, where does Dead Kids fit for you?
Pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty bad is the thing.
Yeah.
At least an 8.
At least an 8.
Depends on the number, I guess.
Okay.
Like, a dead kid, that's like an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 20 dead kids, that's like a 10.
Yeah, I specifically never specified in anything I ever said about the character of exactly what happened.
Oh, boy.
Just that there was a practical demonstration of sleepy gas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you say it.
Gas.
Anesthesia.
Yeah, but more. Can you also say it for me? It sounded like you were starting to say.
Sorry, anesthesia?
Okay.
It is a word I also struggle
with.
But I was like...
I expected to F it up when I said it.
I believe I said it correctly, or at least I said a version that is said.
Here's the good thing, is if you say anything with enough confidence, then it sounds correct, which I should have thought of earlier when I was actually saying it.
So true.
That's my job.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I never got into the details, but basically there was a practical demonstration of anesthesia. Something went wrong, and at least the school needed to be evacuated, and at least multiple students were hospitalized, and at least one student died.
Ugh. Oh no.
So yeah, not great.
Did he get hurt in it?
No, he's fine. He was wearing proper safety materials.
Interesting.
I mean, unless you count like the trauma, I guess.
Oh well, yeah. No, I meant physically. Yeah, I did mean
physically,
like
he was fine.
Yeah.
He had his goggles on. But yeah, so Dr. Hue did what any good, upstanding citizen would do in this case, and immediately ran, and went into hiding. Basically, he went to Myra, a mortician that he was friends with, and together they faked Huey Smits' death, which I actually ended up writing some stories about, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, so Huey Smits fakes his death, as his with Morticia the Myron. That's the word. That's my new Sonic character, Myra the Mortician. Able to make everything look convincing and sign off on this other dead body that we found is definitely Huey Smits. And then so he became Dr. Algernon Hue. And then for the next 10 years survived off doing back alley surgeries and making drugs and doing all sorts of really not great shit.
He kind of fucked up and kept fucking up a little.
Yeah, I mean, at that point it was more out of survival.
Yeah.
But eventually, thanks to some strokes of luck, he did run into Alex Price, founder and head legal counsel of the Right Pricing Company. And for a multitude of reasons, Dr. Hue decided, you know what, I think it's been long enough that hopefully the heat has died down from, it's been 10 years. Hopefully people still won't be looking for me. I look different enough. I'm going to be, and no one would expect to look at a law firm for me. That's the last place anyone would expect to find a wanted fugitive.
Sure.
So he became a lawyer, kind of. He became a legal counsel.
He became legal counsel.
Yeah, legal counsel and expert witness.
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking. It was expert witness.
At which point the actual law firm and campaign part of his story actually starts.
Was Alex Price a player character and
yes,
NPC?
Alex Price was a player character.
Okay.
The other players were Alex Price, who was the lead counsel, Maria Slovanov, who was our intern, Fina Valore, I think, something like that, who was a kind of good at sneaking person. I can never remember what her exact title within the organization was. And then we had Izzy, who had to drop out partway through the game, but was our ghost expert, much like Dr. Hue was their medical expert.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you just need to have a ghost expert on staff, and I think.
Well, for this game, yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is because, like I said, there were 13 cases, and I don't want to go over all 13 of them.
Sure.
But once again, my lovely GM, Violet, did give each case a very good name. And so I'm going to post this for you all to look at, this list of 13 cases. And I want you to each choose a case you want to hear more about. And I have other stuff I want to go over, but I think this is a good time to go over these 13 the 13 cases I've just posted, which for those listening are Case 1, A Boy and His Bird. Case 2, Good 'Cause It Ails Ya. Case 3, How the Turntables. Case 4, Let a Little Bit of Hell in Your Heart. Case 5, Cash for Flesh. Case 6, My Terrible Wife Should Be Terribly Sad. Case 7, A Taxing Case. Case 8, The Great Duskwall Flower Caper. Case 9, Goulianize. Case 10, Prices So Good They Are Literally Illegal. Case 11, Air Today Gone Tomorrow. Case 12, A Bird in the Grave. And Case 13, The World's a Stage.
The Air Today Gone Tomorrow is spelled heir like an heir to the throne.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Morg, please pick one first.
Okay, well, I mean, the one I kind of want My Terrible Wife Should Be Terribly Sad.
Mm-hmm. And do you have one in mind, Spike? Just because if you're thinking of one before that, I should.
Oh yeah.
Go chronologically.
I'm kind of torn between How the Turntables and Let a Little Bit of Hell in Your Heart.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay.
I think I have to go with the latter, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one I would suggest.
The Goulianize is great. I want to think about ghosts that are unionizing. Like, I don't care if that's actually what it's about.
That is absolutely what it was actually about.
Great. Good.
I guess I will give the one-sentence summary of each of these. A Boy and His Bird was our patron, Lord Bartleby, who was like a 14-year-old heir whose parents died, wanted to get an emu from Australia. And had bought this emu, and the local nature people zoo, I can't think of, Humane Society for Animals, whatever, were like, hey, you can't keep an emu. That's not gonna work. The emu will be very sick and die.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just like, anytime emus in Australia are brought up, I can only just start thinking about the Emu War.
Yes. Classic Emu War.
Yeah, definitely.
Case 2, Good 'Cause It Ails Ya. Snake oil salesman comes. Has been selling snake oil and accidentally killed a couple people. Accidentally killed 3 people, but it's okay because we figured out the 3 people had actually been poisoned separate from the medicine. And if they weren't, then the medicine says that it has fine print on it. We're fine.
Okay.
Legally speaking, if you sell a medicine and on the bottle it says, by the way,
that's how it works.
If you die when you ingest this, it's not our fault legally.
More or less, that does happen in real life. So
more or less. Case 3, How the Turntables. Guy had to sue a newspaper for libel because the newspaper was saying that he was doing all sorts of spooky, paranormal, illegal shit. And we said, yeah, okay. And it turned out he absolutely was doing that, but we kind of nudged the truth a little bit. As you do. Just nudge it a little bit. And got the paper to retract the story.
God, that's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because my sister's been watching that Bull TV show, so I feel like I've been watching a lot of this unravel. Whenever I walk into my living room and I see her, I'm like, oh, there really was this person who had to retract their shit. Anyway, continue.
One important thing I do want to bring up that I was going to bring up at some point, but might as well bring up now because it happened during this case, is that said very rich person had a ceremonial dagger and in a trance cut himself open.
What?
As one does.
Yeah.
But again, to be clear, he was perfectly in his legal right to have the ceremonial dagger. it wasn't. It was because it was for his museum. It was perfectly on the books and perfectly legal, and he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Who had the dagger? The person who you were...
The person who hired us to have this story about him doing paranormal shit, redacted.
Yeah,
Anyway, so he did kind of get possessed by a ceremonial dagger for a second and cut himself open. At which point I said, hey, I'm a doctor, and managed to roll a critical success to fix this, which is difficult to do in this system. Not impossible, but difficult enough. And so I did open heart surgery on a man in his bed with very little materials on hand, and it was incredible and something I brought up through the end of the campaign whenever anyone questioned if I was a doctor.
I mean,
so true.
He was already open.
He was already open. So, but just anytime anyone would say anything questioning Dr. Hue's doctoring skills, I just say, look, you saw me do open heart surgery on a guy in his bedroom, like immediately. I'm good at my job. But so that brings us to case 4. Let a little bit of hell into your heart, which I think is an important one to talk about because I think it's one of the bigger, more defining ones for Dr. Hue as well. So basically, a old blind man named Georgie Menton came to us about a bit of a peculiar case. So they have this friend, right? Who is a demon, and is currently split in 2 with arboration with each half on who gets full control of the body and demon powers.
Okay.
This all makes perfect sense to me so far.
Yeah, so we got to help out with that. It was about personal belief in the case rather than the actual logic of it because of demon rolls.
Yeah, that's kind of more what I was wondering. Like, how do you even figure out custody there?
You split the baby.
Yeah, you split you throw the baby out with the bathwater, and then you split half of the bathwater and half of the baby. Yeah, so the 2 halves of the demon were the Scion of Carrion and the Demon of Decay. And Georgie, this old blind man, old blind cabbie, I should mention, because he became one of Dr. Hue's closest friends. But he had us each talk to him about, what was most important to us, so that he could show us why the Scion of Carrion is the one who should have the body. Basically, I'm trying to remember what she was in charge of, based compared to the Demon of Decay. Basically, the Scion of Carrion dealt with the parts of society that were already starting to fall and collapse. And the Demon of Decay was more about lying and actual death and that sort of stuff.
Oh, all right. It sounds like they carrion, like what a vulture would eat carrion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was assuming it wasn't luggage.
No, not.
No. I didn't know if I misheard you. That's all.
But yeah, so Dr. Hue got to talk about the 2 things most important to him, which are confidentiality and safety. Don't know why he'd care about those things.
Interesting.
And was basically told by Georgie, hey, either don't talk to if this stuff is important to you, either don't talk to anyone or talk to this specific person. Which he did, because I think that was the more interesting thing to do. Where he eventually, after some go-betweens, met a woman named CL, who was basically half demon at this point.
Oh.
She used to work for the Spirit Wardens, doing a lot of ghost catching, demon catching, dealing with all those sorts of things. And kind of just got infected by that over time, and was then in hiding, because if she was on the street, she would be killed on sight. CL became another one of Dr. Hue's good friends, who he would regularly meet up with when he was able to and do stuff to try to help her live as best a life she could without being able to go outside. Because this CL was someone who the Scion of Carrion was helping.
Is that why she was half demon at that point? Was because of the Sign of Carrion?
No, that was unrelated.
Oh, okay.
The Scion of Carrion was more about keeping her hidden and keeping in, networks to keep her safe.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so eventually, everyone else in the legal firm did their own thing at the same time, and we got brought to a big boat. We got on a little rowboat, were brought out to a big boat, and then we came back. We had no memory of what happened on the boat, which is always a good sign.
Oh, no.
And then just got a letter saying, hey, you won the case. Good job. Here's a little demon friend who's a little hand, like it from the Addams Family.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry I'm gonna do this. Thing.
Sorry, you're
cousin It is the giant hairy one.
Yes, I can never remember which one is Thing and which one is It.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess...
I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess not giant, but giant pile
big.
Of hair.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's kind of big. It's kind of big. I was like, It the clown? But no, Thing, yeah, that's the hand.
So yeah, that was, I think that was like the pivotal moment as far as Dr. Hue's development of figuring out where I wanted to go with this character. Case 5 was Cash for Flesh, which is Myra. You remember Myra, Dr. Hue's best friend, mortician. She also did sell parts of bodies on the side.
Yeah.
You gotta make ends meet.
Yeah.
I mean, in this fucked up world, yeah, that sounds pretty...
Look, it's not like they were gonna miss it.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, this is the type of place where you would do that, is kind of what I was saying.
Yeah. Anyway, she had sold someone some flesh, and the flesh got stolen before the pickup.
Oh, no.
But she had been paid in advance. So basically, she owed people, however many pounds of flesh that she no longer had on her.
I like that she literally owed pounds of flesh.
Yeah, it was good. But there was a contract to buy 12 pounds of human skin, and she only had 8 pounds of human skin.
At least sell a whole body. Like, selling the skin is just... seems way worse for some reason.
Look, they need the skin so that they can use the skin to, like, wallpaper their boat so that the evil ghosts don't get in.
Just sell the whole body, then. You can probably find stuff for the other parts. Just, like, I don't know.
Why would you buy a lung if you don't need a lung? And why would she sell a lung to someone who doesn't need the lung when I could sell the lung to someone else who does need the lung? It's just business.
Bitch, I don't know.
So,
the fuck?
Here's the thing. Because I was curious and looked it up. The average adult has 6 to 9 pounds of skin.
Yep, that sounds about right.
So
Whoa.
1.5 to 2 persons worth, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Enough that because they were going to get that skin one way or the other. If she didn't have the skin in the box ready for them, well, she has some other skin that she could probably doesn't want to part with. Probably wouldn't be good to part with, but does technically have it on her. No pun intended. I guess pun partially intended. But yeah, so we had to find the flesh, which was less of a legal case, but more of a finding a thing. But it all worked out okay. But that brings us to case 6. My terrible wife should be terribly sad.
Good.
Because we've talked about ghosts a little bit so far. And let me tell you about Dame Charlotte Seville. She is basically a professional widow. She has had, at this point, I think, 4 husbands, and all of them died under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, of course.
Leaving everything to her in their will.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Charlotte, so Charlotte's husband, Louis, died. Charlotte remarried. And no one was that sad that Louis died, because he kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And his wife didn't care. He didn't really have any friends. The one prostitute that he frequented didn't care. And that makes a ghost mad. And so he couldn't move on to the afterlife and was causing problems. because no one grieved him properly. So I'm not gonna go. I got unfinished business, and my unfinished business is that my terrible wife isn't sad enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to investigating what exactly happened, and the thing is, the servant had brought him some tea, and the nobility these days really can't hold their arsenic.
No.
That's the problem with the nobility nowadays. So we did a lot of investigating, talking around, and eventually made a fake funeral. We hired a bunch of people to do a fake funeral, including the aforementioned prostitute, who we just paid to pretend to mourn.
Yeah, was the sex worker, like, was the wife there?
No, of course
I didn't think so, but I was just wondering.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
So we set up this big fake funeral, and we did too good of a job is the thing.
Oh no.
You know how that happens sometimes?
No. I never do anything
so basically all the dead spirits were like, hey, this is a really good funeral, we're gonna come out and hang out. And our resident ghost expert did then manage to bottle them up, and for the rest of the campaign we had a bottle just titled Bottle of Resentment.
Good.
Which, wasn't great.
Sounds like it could be useful.
No.
Did you ever use it, even when your ghost person was gone?
Kind of. It came up in the very, very end.
Good.
Case 7, a taxing case, was a tax case about a garden. It was interesting, but not interesting enough to say anything about. The Great Duskwall Flower Caper, on the other hand, brings us to Dr. Hue's partner in crime, Lily. So, the short version is that a bunch of these nice, beautiful lilies were brought into Duskwall. Everyone loved them, and they were kind of putting the whole town into a little bit of a trance.
Oh.
And so we got hired to help some people get rid of them all. So we did a lot of work to get rid of all these flowers. And at one point, Dr. Hue was kind of investigating and got a little bit of pollen or seeds or something just kind of stuck in his throat, did some coughing. And later, it turned out that a lily lived in his lungs now, being the Leviathan of Joy.
Oh.
So basically, an elder god was, spreading herself through these flowers. We got rid of all the flowers, but in the process, Dr. Hue inhaled something, and now she lives inside him.
But just inside him, not any of the other people who were in trance.
Just inside him,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Just inside him.
Yeah.
Lily was fun. She was very whimsical, didn't always get things, but was just happy to be there and she was happy. That, literally, she was the embodiment of happiness.
I can't even imagine, did she help him out? Powers? I'm just so curious about, having a small Leviathan in your body.
Yeah. So,
in your lungs, no less.
Yeah.
In my lungs. So she did help me. At the start of the next case, actually, I did almost drown and have a little bit of case of water lungs. And she helped out with that. She regularly helped me heal faster.
Okay.
She helped me grow some new lilies, which I then used to create some, what exactly did I call it? I think I called it vibes gas, maybe. The good vibes gas.
Good vibes, wave.
Good vibes. Yeah, vibe gas.
I could use some good vibes gas.
And I had to do some things in exchange for it, but don't worry about it. It's probably fine.
I wanna know.
I think that's really the executive summary of everything with Dr. Hue is, and actually with the right pricing company in total is, don't worry about it. It's fine.
I want to kind of know, but we probably should move on to the next case. But I'm also what did he have to do?
I'll get to that because, like I said, there's some other things I want to talk to.
Okay.
Some ghosts wanted to unionize, and they wanted us to represent them, and we lost in court horribly because no one wants ghouls to unionize.
Aww.
Ghost unions should be bad.
No. Wrong. All unions are good, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Price is so good they are literally illegal was another tax case about whether the certain class of ship should pay the government tax rate or the private tax rate. It was actually a lot more interesting than it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like Converse shoes having the felting on the bottom so that they'll technically be slippers instead of sneakers.
Huh. I did not know that.
Me either. What the fuck?
Also, X-Men are not human for the same reason.
Yes, I did know that.
But both are because of taxes.
Mm-hmm. I did know about that one.
X-Men are not human because of taxes. Okay.
Yeah, because like human toys and non-human toys get taxed differently.
Oh.
In certain areas.
Yep. Dolls versus action figures.
I thought you meant like in the comics they weren't humans. I'm like, yeah, they're not really considered human.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, they went against the whole point of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't consider that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Air Today, Gone Tomorrow was another tax case. We did a lot of those actually, where a guy died and we were making arguments about why some of our clients should get some of his money. A Bird in the Grave. So remember that emu I talked about? Remember Chekhov's emu?
Yeah, I assumed it had to do with the bird mentioned earlier.
So the bird died, which was unfortunate.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah.
No one could know why this bird that lived with this boy died.
He seemed to be living a good life overall.
I would expect the boy to die before the emu.
No. He
I
died,
thought the
unfortunately.
emu might kill the boy. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No,
Mm-hmm.
he would never do such a thing. But after thinking about a couple different things to do, we said, hey, wait a second. Hey, Lily. You know how you, like, healed my lungs earlier?
Oh no.
You know how you, like, helped that other lady, like, how now she has, like, super big, strong arms?
Oh shit.
You know that other guy who was, like, in the wheelchair and now he can walk again?
Uh-huh.
Oh, she's okay, so you kind of left this part. Okay, yeah, uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we brought a emu back to life.
Alright. Mm-hmm.
And it was easy. We didn't even really have to do too much in exchange. Just we had to give the emu poison glands that really only activate when it's stressed out. So like at parties, that would then kind of spread this poison through the air at like these big fancy rich person parties.
Okay.
I'm not seeing a drawback, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems alright.
We had to make an argument to make Bartleby, the owner of the emu, and one of our big clients, to be given immunity to the poison. But we managed to get that, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And we got paid 10 whole coins for bringing an emu back to life.
I don't know the money system in this, so that could be anything.
I want to know how much 10 coins is worth.
Yeah, so let me get the rule book back up so I can find exactly how much it says a normal score is worth. While I get that up, the other thing I will say is that the last case was Dr. Hue and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Ah, I see. Mm-hmm. Is that where it all came crashing down?
That's where a lot of it comes crashing down. Okay, so a standard score is in like decent loot would be 6 coins.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a standard, a standard case, standard thievery, standard whatever is 6 coins.
So above average.
Yeah, so you did very well.
No, we did bring a bird back to life.
Yes. And a lot of rich people will die as a result.
Okay.
You did good.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
You did good, and you were rewarded.
Yes, no, I'm just saying, don't get me wrong, rich people dying, absolutely a benefit. I'm just saying we could have probably asked for 20 coins.
Okay.
We brought a bird back from the dead.
Yeah, that's I knew you meant you should have asked for more than just 10, but I was like, I mean, they probably aren't completely happy.
I missed it.
They're probably not completely happy that, all these people are gonna die, but maybe.
I mean, Bartleby didn't know about that part, so don't worry.
I didn't know that part either, myself.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, well, then, good. You probably made out better than you could have, if...
Yeah.
I guess.
Things went pretty okay.
Were there any that were, 20? Did you get any, real pricey cases, or was it all kind of...
I think the biggest one was the air case, where I think we got 20 or 24.
Okay. Yeah, you probably could have at least gotten...
We had to give up a lot. We had to give up a lot for that.
Oh.
Partially because of how we did it.
Oh.
But in exchange... So in exchange for the 24... Basically, we each had to come up with 2 negative consequences, negative story things to happen.
Oh, no.
And kind of bet them against the GM for these coins. So what happened was the emu was put down. Captain Rose, who was another important NPC and one of the people who paid us a lot, walked into the sea and never returned.
Oh my.
Warden Rhea who's another NPC that's not important, was ripped of her rank. Ivar the Tall, another NPC, picks the wrong fight with someone. Ashley rejects Maria, so some romance stuff. Alex lost his right eye. And importantly, Lily starts to ask for favors.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And did she ask for favors for the bird case, since that happened in the air case?
Yes. No, so bird case was air today, gone tomorrow, so she did ask for favors during A Bird in the Grave.
Yeah.
One of her favors was for Dr. Hue to go on a nice date.
Oh.
Sometimes he just got to enjoy himself.
That's nice. At least he got one good thing, even if it sounds like
he did.
Everything is bad.
But yeah, so the last case was basically Misery. The Leviathan of Misery wanted to see, hey, thanks for all you've done in the way that only the Leviathan of Misery can do, which is making us miserable.
Who is that? That's not Lily, right?
No, that's not Lily. That was someone else.
That would be is this someone Lily is diametrically opposed to?
Kind of.
That's kind of what it sounded like.
They're not enemies or anything, but kind of in the sense of when you're that level of a force, you don't really have enemies.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we all got to go to the opera, and basically all of our greatest enemies were there, including a woman named... What was her name? It was a woman that I haven't mentioned before, because she'd never come up before. But her name was Penny. Penny Capella, which was the mom of the kid that Dr. Huey Smits killed 10 years ago.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oops.
No.
So we had to spend a lot of time navigating all these, at which point I did then just use the vibe gas on her when she was about to realize who I was. To just kind of get her in a hazy state and then run away.
God.
It was a bad time for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And then we kind of ended the game after that.
Mm-hmm.
We did a really fun thing called the Apocalypse game or the End of the World game, something like that, which is a neat storytelling thing about just what happens next.
Do all the people know about his past now?
So over the course of the campaign, he did tell the other members of the Right Pricing Company,
mm-hmm.
including it was Maria, the intern, he told first, who he had a really nice relationship with. They developed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Partially, it started with them kind of talking about ethics and about how actually it's okay to do bad things sometimes if they're for good reasons and to do good things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But then they'd go on regular fishing trips, and he was just a good, positive role model. And it definitely had nothing to do with the fact that he just desperately needed the validation of someone about the age of the person he killed.
Ooh.
And being like, hey, this person thinks Maria thinks I'm a good person, so it's okay.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's normal.
That's normal. It's good and normal.
Fine.
But the other, and then the other person that he came clean to, so Myra always knew, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But the other person he came clean to was the other important person in his life that I didn't mention yet, which was Alex Price's biggest rival and the big rival who owned the firm that rivaled our firm. That's right, Miles Wright.
Wait. Miles?
Yes?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Does he have a husband?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
It seems that he does.
Possible. But yeah, so it was actually a taxing case, I believe. No, it was Price is So Good they literally are illegal.
Mm-hmm.
In which we weren't in an actual courtroom, but we're kind of arguing in front of the Merchants Guild. And Dr. Hue was on one side with Miles Wright on the other. And just because of the way things rolled out, another interesting thing to note is about the GM is that she would put in a lot of stuff from other games. And specifically, I can't remember the system offhand, but basically there was another system we would use that had a set of arguments, like a debate-style minigame.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway through this debate, it turned into the dancing minigame. Like dancing at a ballroom.
Oh.
Because I'm not sure exactly why. Something just clicked with us. And so then Dr. Hue and Miles Wright started seeing each other. After getting set up by Maria, the intern, on a couple of occasions. She did a lot of work to try to get that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Now
very funny.
Now I regret saying that he had a husband.
It's called polyamory. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's funny. That's fun. And he it's funny that you got close to the rival, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the epilogue thing, eventually Miles did confess to the death to killing the person who Dr. Hue had killed, that young woman.
Oh, what?
In the class.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was kind of getting in on Dr. Hue, and so Miles kind of sacrificed himself. And said, no, it was me, don't look into it.
Oh, he lied. Okay, he lied about it. I thought you were saying he confessed to...
No, he did not confess to starting the accident. He confessed to, hey, I was actually the one who did this.
Not Hugh, yeah.
Not you. Don't worry about it. Don't look further into
this.
And he was sentenced to basically be slave labor defense attorney, public defender slave labor.
Ooh.
Where basically he went from jail to defending the scum of the earth type people, back to jail and back and forth doing that, which was not great.
That's a bummer.
It was a little bit of a bummer, but the very last scene with Dr. Hue in it, that we had done in this, was Dr. Hue is getting on a boat to the Dagger Isles. He's finally headed home, and he has 2 tickets with him, kind of laid over each other. And so you can see one says Dr. Hue on it, and the other you can just see the first letter of it, and it's just the letter M.
No.
And is it Miles or is it Myra? Who could say? kind of left up to interpretation. I did realize at one point that it was very funny that like the three most important people in Hugh's stories, like who still are alive, are Myra, Miles, and Maria.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It be like that sometimes. I'm trying to think of some other fun Doctor Who facts that I wanted to mention. A reoccurring gag that came up with him was that he was constantly putting money into the fish market, specifically in sardine stocks, which always are just going, you know, they're not big dividends, but they're little dividends over time.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't remember why the fish stock market first came up, but it just then became a reoccurring gag that,
Because it's a pun?
I mean, that is part of it, but there are lots of puns that exist, and they don't all come up.
True.
True, yeah. Did Lily just... were they like stuck in his lungs even in the apocalypse part, or the end part?
Yep, even in the epilogue, she just kind of lived in his lungs forever.
Okay, interesting.
And he died because of her, but it's fine.
I mean, it'd be like that. You kind of need to breathe. I get it.
That. Yeah, it wasn't even about breathing. It was just having an elder god live inside your body is... What's the word I'm looking for? Bad.
Seems fine.
It's bad. It's bad for your health. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad long term. Don't let an elder god live inside.
Even a joy one?
It's untenable.
Even a joy one.
I don't know why I kept getting interested, and I was like, I think it's just because it seemed like I was like, oh, he's just a normal guy, and then he has an elder god in his lungs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we love an elder god.
So true.
We do. But yeah, so since the campaign, I've written a series of short stories based on Dr. Hue that I've titled The Many Acquaintances of Dr. Algernon Hue. And I've written 6 of them about 6 of the different people, Lily being one of them. I think. Yeah, so there's one about the first chapter, I have them labeled as chapters because they're kind of chronological, even if they aren't necessarily a full story.
Sure.
But so there's one about him faking his death. There's one about him and a priestess named Melista, who I might have briefly brought up as one of his enemies. But basically, he was hired by a cult to do cult surgeries and basically take demon bones and surgery them into people.
Oh.
Willing people, if that helps.
Yeah, it's just
willing enough people.
It was more like, demons have bones? Okay.
Story of how he met Alex. Story of one of his first interactions with Maria the intern. Story of his meet cute with Miles. And the last one I wrote was his introduction to Lily and meeting her for the first time. I might also put a link to the Google Drive that has those if anyone is interested in reading those at some point.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, after the thing, how you felt about other people reading it versus if I could post it or whatever.
Yeah, you can absolutely post it. And the big thing I'm really proud of, and I know you had done an episode about this, semi-related to this recently, is that there is a Doctor Who playlist I made that I'll share the link to.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. We just put out, this one's not going to be out for a bit, but we're recording this when episode 9 came out this past week, so
here's a link to that. But the last one on this playlist is a AMV I made to the song No Children from the Mountain Goats, which I will probably link directly to as well at some point.
Yeah, I have seen that, and I was like, I only know vaguely what's going on just from watching this, but I'm so impressed by it.
Yes, thank you.
I will probably understand a little bit more now.
You'll probably understand it more now.
So that's exciting.
About a man who faked his own death after accidentally killing someone.
And possibly more than one person. But,
possibly more than one person.
It is unclear.
Unclear. Well, yeah, I just posted that playlist. Are there any of those songs that jump out at you that you want to know more about?
Oh, I didn't.
Just while I. If you haven't looked at it, that's fine. Just
Careless Whispers being the first one is definitely something.
What?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a song about regret.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there are some bangers in here.
They're all fucking good. Don't at me.
I am hoping that a certain musician showed.
You put the boys are back in town to kill you on this? Let's go.
Yes, I did.
Fuck. That's.
I just added that recently because that's I feel like that's a really good one for person who is on the run and like specifically has a point in the story where yes, there is someone who is back in town, prison, who would most likely kill him.
God, I have so many, I have more feelings about the, like, quote-unquote sequel, the Kiss Me one. But this one I also have feelings about. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. You have the very good song, and good life advice, Don't Be a Lawyer from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on here.
Yes.
I was hoping that I would find Huey Lewis in the News.
No, unfortunately, I didn't think of a good. I should go back and find a good Huey Lewis song. I do have "You Can Call Me Al" though, by Paul Simon.
Yeah, do people call him Al?
Sometimes, most of the time it's Dr. Hugh, but I know Lily specifically always calls him Al.
Dirty Little Secret.
Mm-hmm.
The Objection song, Turnabout Musical, pretty good.
Pretty good. I also am very proud of Like a Surgeon.
Yeah. And you have a Repo the Genetic Opera song on here, and No Children, of course.
I need to watch that at some point.
Me too.
It's a vibe. It's I feel like, yeah, you guys should watch it like once. I don't know how I feel about it overall, but it's, yeah.
I wanted to watch it when it first came out and never could find a copy. And now here we are, like, 20 years later.
Yeah. You probably would have liked it more at the time, 20 years ago.
Probably so.
But
see, here's the thing you need to remember about Repo, is that Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
So true. A little glass vial.
A little glass vial.
God damn it.
A little glass vial goes into the gun like a battery.
So true.
But yeah, I feel like that's kind of the general overview of Dr. Hue is kind of that's his story. You know, there's more lore in the short stories I mentioned. I guess do either of you have any big questions you want to know about Dr. Hue?
I guess you said he died, right? Like, was that like something you decided later, or you decided like when he was like on the boat and stuff? You're like, oh, he died later. So
that is he dies at some unspecified point in the future.
Okay, it's unspecified. Okay.
Just because when I was talking to the GM about like what are the long-term effects of Dr. Hue never dealing with the fact that Lily lives in his body. You know, we kind of established that at some point Dr. Hue dies from it. We don't know if it's, weeks or months or years in the future, but he has a smile on his face, and it's basically the best way you can go.
Okay.
Being overtaken by the Leviathan of Joy, probably about the best way you can die.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, if you have to die like that, sure.
What happens to Lily afterwards, though?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, so I guess something that wasn't clear is that's, just part of Lily.
Oh, okay.
That is an avatar of Lily.
Okay.
It's you can't contain the entirety of a Leviathan anywhere, and that is both all of her and a part of her.
So not a phenomenal cosmic powers itty bitty living space situation.
No. More of a phenomenal cosmic powers, and also I have a roommate that I live inside.
I think that's what, I feel like that's what Yugi does. I don't know. Or Venom.
I didn't mention, but Dr. Hue does like card games.
Let's go.
Nice.
Specifically, he likes to play cribbage.
Okay, yeah.
I specifically noted that he likes backgammon and cribbage, which are both games I also enjoy and are what I would put in the genre of really old people games.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of
that
an
I like
older
a lot.
people game, but good on them.
But they're fucking good is the thing.
I don't know if I've ever
Cribbage and backgammon are
played
good.
cribbage. I played backgammon. I haven't played in a long time, so I don't remember how, but yeah, I don't know. Is there any like fun thing that came out? Like, I know you said he changed a lot and everything, but is there anything like, even after you kind of decided on this like backstory where he like had a thing that go wrong, was there anything that like was unexpected that you ran in, like, that you were like, oh, I didn't think this would happen to you or whatever?
Yeah, so I'll say a lot of it was like that because, like I said, it was part of a tabletop.
Sure, yeah.
So, you know, everything that happened with Lily was not anything I had planned for in any way, shape,
right,
or
of course.
Getting together with Miles was almost entirely because of Maria and what her player wanted to do with her downtime.
That's funny.
It was just a good. It was just there was a lot of things like that where it just kind of happened.
Yeah, serendipity. Yeah.
Exactly, serendipity.
I think I'm using that word right. Anyway.
Oh, I almost forgot one of his special abilities that he had on his character sheet was I take my arsenic, which is he was immune to all drugs and poisons.
Oh!
Yeah, unlike the nobles, he can hold his arsenic.
Exactly, he can hold his arsenic.
Unlike well, maybe he could do that before and he didn't even need to wear all the equipment because he was immune to the whatever it killed.
Oh, that was explicitly the reward we got instead of getting paid. Basically, when we did regular law, we would get paid. When we did ghost law, we would get something else.
Gotcha.
And when we did My Terrible Wife Should Be Terribly Sad, our benefit was that we all became immune to all drugs and poisons.
Fascinating. Okay.
The one other thing, just because I'm looking at his character sheet now, that I wanted to mention is that Dr. Hue did put in place basically an underground railroad system within Duskfall for people like himself and, more importantly, people like CL. That was his big downtime project throughout the course of the campaign, was setting up this big, massive network of people and places to get people who needed to get out of Duskfall.
Ooh.
Which definitely started out as more of a selfish thing, and over time, especially with CL, became not unselfish, but it wasn't just about that.
Sure.
And the other thing is, because of the moves I took, Dr. Hue had a lot of money at the end of the game. Not enough to be a noble or anything, but basically as much money as a player character can have in the game, which still isn't a ton, It's I can't remember exactly what the book says, but it's enough that you can own a small business.
Oh.
And not be worried about getting kicked off into the street.
Okay. Did he go home and own a business?
Okay, here it is. Stash 40, a well-appointed home or apartment, claiming a few luxuries. You might operate a medium business.
Oh, you might. Okay.
Yeah. So he did have a full stash of 40 at the end of the game. Until the last session where he gave up 22 of it to give to Myra, which was basically his going away present. And it was he was kind of very explicit with this isn't paying you off, this isn't paying for your silence, this is hey, you have done so much for me and you deserve this.
Okay.
For reference, that left him with 18, which is a tiny hovel that you can call your own. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the 4 levels of retirement in the game are poor soul, meager, modest, and fine.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Can't do any better than that.
Mood.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you had to work for all these fucking royals, man. All these, like, upper
We
class
did.
people.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We had a lot of upper class people who didn't like us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have for... Unless Spike has got anything.
No, I am good for now.
Alright.
Alright.
Where can we find you, Pat? Trick?
You can find me at tumblr.com/shadowsandbag. I also have a co-host that I don't use that will probably get more use at some point. But I don't really use now. You can also go to Tumblr and find my game dev Tumblr, where I post about the tabletop games I am working on. And when I say post about the tabletop games that I'm working on, I mean I last posted in November 2022.
It'd be like that. Honestly, that's more recent than I was expecting. I thought you were going to say, like, 2020. I was like, well...
But you can find that at warmshadegames.tumblr.com.
Okay.
And I'm sure you'll link... I guess I shouldn't assume you'll link to that, but I will ask you to link to that in the description.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say no, then I'll say, oh, okay.
Yeah, probably. I will try to let the others know and link it on the social media we have.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll also share that link to that Google Drive as well as the Toy House.
Yeah.
Sorry, the toyhow.se.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can see both Dr. Hue and some of my other characters. I didn't even get to talk about my ongoing thing with doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I just have I have more doctor characters than I feel I should. I feel like my percentage of characters who are doctors is statistically high.
Yeah.
Well, at least 2 of the tabletop games that I've played with you, they're not doctors. At least.
But at least one, Patrick does have a doctor character.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I didn't play that one.
No, you are playing in that one now.
Dr. Darling Darling.
Oh, you mean that? Yes, okay. I was thinking of, like, character. Yes, you're right. Yeah,
no, but offhand I can think of Dr. Algernon Hue, Dr. Darling Darling, Dr. Anubis, who is the Overlord in the Fellowship game I run, Dr. Vaki, who was a major reoccurring NPC in the Lancer game I ran, Dr. Name Tenabok, who was the major antagonist of the Lancer game I ran. And I'm sure there are others that I'm not immediately thinking of, but those are like 5 that immediately come to mind.
They're not all medical doctors.
No, but they're all doctors.
Yeah.
They're just not that sort of doctor.
Yeah, I guess you do.
But yeah, so yeah, mostly I'd say you can find me on Tumblr or co-host. I guess I should note my Tumblr, my shadowsandbag.tumblr.com is mostly me reblogging good posts.
Is the co-host also Shadow Sandbag? Not that.
Yes, the co-host is also Shadow Sandbag, but that's more.
You.
Not that I use it much, but it is.
Well, you
more
could.
Yeah, I could use it more, and it will probably be less just sharing good posts and more actual posts of my own.
I get that. I don't have a ton to say. Spike, how about you? Since you just have...
I don't have social medias. So, hey, check out This Guy Is the Podcast you're listening to right now. If you look in the show notes, there's a link to a Discord server. Come on by. We have a good time here. We have things going on typically on Mondays and Fridays at a minimum, and it's just a really good group. So, we'd be happy to have you.
Yeah, I probably should have had you go last, because, well, that's fine. I'll just go right from mine into...
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know the social medias for the podcast itself. You should give me a list of these, and I can do that in the future.
I mean, okay. It's just 2 of them. But you can find me, just me, Morg, at Haunting the Morg on Tumblr, still technically Twitter, and Gengar on co-host. You can also find me on my other podcasts, Forward ReZero, a ReZero Watch podcast, maybe someday, and the Sonic Shuffle, a random and holistic Sonic lore podcast. That's still going strong, you know?
So hold up. I do want to talk about Forward ReZero real quick.
Okay.
Did it ever occur to y'all to just keep on publishing the same episodes over and over again while you're on hiatus?
I feel like that would be annoying. Like, that is a kind of a funny bit, but I think that would be... If I was a listener, I'd be like, okay, this sucks. This is annoying.
Uh-huh. I mean, actual media companies have done worse.
True.
That's a pretty low bar,
Yeah.
though.
Uh-huh.
We have not done that. But we do have a couple episodes.
No, I'm sorry. It popped into my head, and I had to ask.
No, listen. I mean, you're right. That's kind of the whole thing about he come back. That's what he do. He come back. Sonic Shuffle for yeah. I think I said all of my own personal stuff, and then the show's stuff is the Discord, as you heard, as well as check out this guy. Tumblr.com. Co-host is just check out this guy also. Yeah. And then you can also find us on our podcast website, noisepace.xyz, hosted by Matt GameCube. Or I think both my other podcasts are on there too, so that's cool. And then, yeah, I think that's all, unless I am forgetting something, which is very possible because I'm still getting used to running the show sometimes without Emery. And now is where we maybe close the show with something that I still don't fully know what we've decided on because no one's told me.
So Patrick, what's going to happen if someone steals Dr. Hue Algernon from you?
They shouldn't do that. Let me put it this way. I am being recorded right now for this podcast, so I legally will not answer.
Okay.
Oh boy.
In that case, we can't do our outro.
Sure we can. I don't know what you're...
Which is to go and find an OC and steal it.
You can still do that, just not Patrick's.
Yeah, and not mine. I am fiercely protective of them.
We need to change this because obviously, like, yes, we want you to steal, like, fictional media, like, characters and take them as your own, but, like, taking your, like, little lowly, like, personal characters is gonna suck, so I think we have to change this.
Alright, how about this? Are you ready?
Go for it.
Got your new outro. And now, the weather.
No. But hey, hold up. So, like, we are encouraging people to, like, come up with stuff, and hey, you can borrow ideas. And the only reason why it's not professional is you're not getting paid. I mean, look at George Lucas. He just stole a bunch of shit and called it Star Wars.
So true. Yeah, I mean...
He just watched Barbarella one time and said, oh yeah, I'll just make this again.
Oh, we watched Barbarella not too long ago, and we came to the conclusion that almost every piece of media is just ripping off Barbarella now.
Good. I've never seen it. So.
All right. So new sign off. Rip off Barbarella.
Yeah, watch Barbarella.
New sign off. Watch Barbarella.
Yes.
I can't stick to my own sign off, but
yeah,
it's fine.
Oh, this is gonna be very confusing to the audience.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Pleasure having you.